I'm 13 Disciple, and this is Coach's Corner. Welcome back, guys. Today, we are reviewing a replay from our friend Sigmund Fraud on Mountain Pass. We are playing in the Wizzy 111-14, the Tier 9 Chinese heavy tank. So let's talk about our team lineup here. So to start with, we've got two opposing assault tank destroyers. The T-30 is effective haul down heavy tank, basically. We've got two tier 7s that are not really good at sniping or assaulting. We have some pretty good flanking mediums with auto loader or auto reloaders. And then we got a mixture of heavies and mediums. Something I want to point out, though, there is no light tank in this lineup, which makes our first play of the game kind of a crapshoot on whether we can do it or not. There is also one artillery. With just one, it's not really going to influence where I would go in this match a whole lot. It may influence where I change where I go in this match, depending on how much focus I would receive as being a top tier heavy in this lineup. So let's take a look at the minimap and talk about where we would go to start. First off, almost 9 times out of 10, I will go straight to this rock, protect the hull, and just look for crossing shots here. It's pretty simple. You don't want to shoot them in this area. You want to wait for them to get out behind this rock, because in this area right here, right in this corridor is when they're most exposed, and that's where you want to be hitting them from. So I would shoot over here, and then I would look for crossing damage. I would call an audible if there's nobody that's going to be spotting for me. So if I'm one of those top tier mediums or even a middle tier medium with great view range, I would definitely roll up here and try and spot the crossing from there. Or there is actually a bush here. It's pretty exposed, but if you can get behind it with a good camo tank, you can still spot that crossing there. So I would roll up into this area, at least wait 10 seconds to see if there's any allies that I'll be able to see in this crossing. If nobody's going to see in this crossing, then I would probably play the heavy tank area because I am a top tier heavy, and this is a pretty good brawling area. It does typically get exposed to artillery sitting almost anywhere in this, well, this back corner here is where artillery will generally be, and they will have shots on you. Whereas our artillery, if they don't move, will not have shots on them unless they are like way back in this area here. So that could influence the battle quite a bit. Alternatively, we could just stay in the middle of base and look for shots this way. Sometimes I'll just wait here and wait for stuff to come up here, look for shots over there. I mean, it depends. As a top tier heavy, I'd probably want to try to influence the battle, which means pushing one of these two flanks. I would either go here or I'd go ice road. Since there's only one artillery, I would probably go south here because one artillery doesn't do a ton to me, especially bottom tier. If there was 3 artillery, I might be leaning more towards the ice road. So let's get into it. Let's see how this transpires. If anyone would like to have their replay featured on Coach's Corner, in the description will be a link to my Discord, and inside that Discord is a channel called #Coach's Corner, and you can submit links to your replays in there, and in there also a little bit of guidance on the sort of replays I'm looking for. Okay, so the 3002D may not have the view range to do the spotting that we would need him to do. I would still be looking and waiting. He is trying to do spotting. I see you pre-aimed in this crossing. That is smart to do that. One thing I'd like to point out is, regardless of whether your tank has armor or not, always point your gun in direction that you expect fire to be coming from, which is in this area. The reason is because typically your frontal armor is the highest, so you can possibly bounce shots if they miss your hull. But let's say you're this TVP, right? A lot of times the ammo rack is in the back of the turret. And by pointing your turret this way, not always, but sometimes you reduce the odds that you'll get hit in the ammo rack in a crossing like this one. So we're going to continue through. It looks like the TVP might be setting up to try and get crossing, but he's also going to push through. Nobody's able to spot anything. The IS looks like he's going down into the dip, so that's one of our 15 tanks that'll die pretty fast. We're rolling on through here. Looks like we're going to set up for the heavy brawl. We have a 263, a VK. A Lorraine gets a... Wow, he really sniped that shot in, didn't he? He hits our TVP once. He has one more shot. He doesn't take it. We've got a Chrysler K. Okay, we gotta talk about something here, all right? We're facing a Chrysler K, all right? And we only have standard ammunition. I'd also like to point out at 7 seconds, we're using the 100mm gun on this. Maybe he hasn't researched the Top Gun. It's fine. You can get by with the 100mm on this, except against maybe tier 10s. Because the 100mm actually has better DPM than the top tier gun. But the top tier gun has better trades and has excellent premium round penetration. So let's talk about only carrying standard rounds. Many people do this just out of sheer principle that they don't want to give other players, you know, this pay for advantage mechanic. For whatever reason, whether you're doing it or not, or whatever reason you personally don't want to be carrying premium rounds, totally up to you. Whatever, that's fine. I just want to point out the pure tactical benefit, okay? So by not having a premium shell, you make this shot so much harder to make, okay? So with standard rounds, we have, what, 212 penetration? This lower plate here, just slightly angled, is about 220 to 230 millimeters. The upper plate, slightly angled, is going to be about 260 millimeters, okay? So if I'm shooting standard rounds, there's no way I get through this upper plate, and I'm going to need to high roll, so there's about a 50%, maybe lower chance that I can get through the lower plate, okay? This has, by not having any premium rounds here, I've effectively lowered my capabilities in a match voluntarily. Doesn't matter why, that's just the bottom line of it. So if I had a premium round to load and I was shooting at this target here, if I hit the lower plate, I pen 9 out of 10 times. Now, however, look at this dispersion circle. The odds of even hitting where I'm aiming are slim. If for whatever reason I load gold and I shoot the upper plate by accident, so let's say I'm aiming down here and I scatter into the upper plate, that's still about a 40% chance of going through. So if I had a premium round to load, I would increase my effectiveness against this tank by quite a bit. So if I'm shooting the lower plate with standard, I pen 1, maybe a little more than 1 in 4 rounds, okay? If I load gold, I pen every time I hit, okay? And the gold round is 4 times the cost of the standard round. So if you think about it, it might even be, financially speaking, more effective to be shooting gold into that lower plate. So, you know, for whatever reason, whether you take it or not, it's up to you. I respect people that just don't take it for the pay to win thing. See Togrim, he plays purely without premium ammunition, and he can do exceptionally well with that. So I'm just saying that by doing this, you're lowering what you can do effectively in a match. You got lucky there. Nice penetration. So it looks like we're going to try and side scrape here. One thing I want to point out is side scraping here is okay. It's not great though. All right. Let's go to the free camera here and rotate around. So side scraping, at least at this angle, works reasonably well. You'll pretty much bounce anything over here, or it'll get buried into your tracks, okay? But you still have this upper plate that's now angled because you got a pike nose. It's angled for higher chances of being penned, and your lower plate can also be penned in this area. So it's good. you're reducing the odds that you can be penetrated by maximizing your ability to get shots. Good. I just want to point out that you may not have shots directly at him, but you could potentially be back here. If you use this ridgeline in this area, you can hide a majority of your hull while giving your turret the best shots possible. Alternatively, turning around here, you can somewhat do the same thing right in this area right here, but you'll be exposed to artillery even more. But you can still, the slope is pretty gentle. You might need to wrap your tank sideways or something, but you can still get pretty limited exposure up here and still have shots in this area. So I want to point out that you are doing what you can to minimize your exposure, but there might be alternate locations that could be even less exposure. I see your T-50 is trying to go in and clip. Oh, he missed the 40T. That was a really lucky accuracy roll there, and a lucky high roll in penetration. So far, the standard rounds are working just fine. Might be over-angled. Nope. See, that was orange. You saw the penetration indicator orange, which meant it's a less than 50% chance you'll get through, or about 50 or less. Missed that one. Okay, the Lorraine's coming for your 50T. You need to be able to get shots. You're over-angled slightly, trying to get out as quickly as you can. And your Leo gets a shot into him, it looked like. That might have been the Tiger, but he was trying to pen with HE. I think you might be over-angled here. Let me just check. Just want to have a look. Not too badly, actually. He might still be able to pen this, though. But that's actually really good angling that you've got going on there, so... Looks like you might be a touch over-angled. But otherwise, you're still minimizing your risk here. Oh, I got it into the track wheel. So you're backed out still too far. You want to be only backed out enough to have an angle for a shot of damage. And you still took 2 for 1, which was a rough trade there. So it looks like if we take a look at the minimap, our T-30 and T-95 have already destroyed the 2-6... No, they had another tank down here. It was IS-3 2. Already destroyed the opposing Tier 9. They should be able to work together and get rid of this T-30. You've got your allies crossing the bridge. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks down here, a 263 over here. You have 3. So there's probably maybe even more down here, but you realize you're in an overmatch in this scenario, so your goal at this point should be to just try and stay alive and hold this flank for as long as possible. We don't want to be making pressure just yet. Looks like another orange on the side of that Chrysler. Again, perhaps if we had APCR, we might be able to get through that side. T looks like he might be coming around. Oh, your T-50 died to artillery. That's rough. Which leaves your Tiger 2 and you fully exposed to Lorraine, and he can clip you up to death. So you want to be real careful. That was rough. So I don't know if I would have poked that. It was pretty clear that he might be pre-aimed on this corner, and you're definitely over-angled a little bit too much. You've also got yourself ammo racked, which is a rough chance there. So yeah, I would definitely be really weary of poking out against a Lorraine, especially if he's pre-aimed, because he can kill you in, well, now 2 shots, but previously he only needed the 1. Or he only needed to track you once and then you're done, if your gun wasn't even out far enough. Your Tiger 2 looks like he's trying to make pressure, but he's taking a lot of damage for it. Yeah, maybe post up to try and help him. Oh, he's toast to the Lorraine now. Good shot into the VK there. We're going back to the side scrape. Friendly artillery reminding you that he's still on the map. So it looks like your bridge push might have been slowed down by the standard B. Your Leo has come to give you a hand. So the Chrysler K has 7 hit points. Now would be a great time to load HE and shoot that Chrysler. Because we don't have gold rounds, but we definitely have HE, and that could get us through. The Lorraine is also an HE shot away. So you could definitely shoot either with HE and kill either. Lorraine is still spotted out there. Oh man, you definitely could have killed him with HE there. Oh man, he pinned you there. I should have checked to see if you're over angled. You might have been, or he was just aiming for your lower plate. Again, you're doing good by trying to minimize your exposure as much as possible. You are reloading HE. That is fabulous. Excellent call by switching your ammunition choice there. Really smart play. Now it's just a matter of making it work. Holy cow, that shell went nowhere near where you were aiming. At least you bounced that round. Although you have to be wary, he might be loading HE against you at this point. But let's talk about HE really quick and where we need to aim to shoot our Chrysler K friend over here. Okay, so the Chrysler K has really strong armor, and the way HE works makes this relatively simple. It's going to be the same way that you would be attacking a mouse with HE. So what happens with HE when you do finally get damage on somebody? So where I would aim is right as close to the bottom of this turret as possible while still being above the side of the tank, okay? So what's going to happen is the HE is going to detonate on the outside of its turret because it's going to test for penetration first, and it's not going to pen. The turret armor is way too thick, right? You can't even pen it with standard ammo. So it's not going to pen, and the closer you are to the upper deck of this armor here, the better off you'll be, okay? So what happens is when this thing detonates and it doesn't penetrate, it draws a radius. It'll be a sphere, not a circle. A sphere around where that detonation was, and it'll draw lines to the shortest distance to every armor plate within that sphere. So it's going to draw a line straight to the impact, which is going to be a distance of 0 to the turret. It'll draw a line straight into the engine deck, and it might draw a line into the side of the turret here, but that's it. Those are the only 3 lines it's going to draw, and it's going to take the shortest distance possible. And there's some math on my website you can go check out for how HE mechanics work, but basically it takes the distance to the plate and the thickness of the plate, and it'll select the line that does the most damage possible. And in this instance, the deck of this gun here, the deck of this tank, is really thin. So if you can hit the turret as low as possible, it'll splash onto the deck and damage his tank and easily destroy that 7 hit points he's got left. So if I'm aiming at him, this is the target I want to hit as close to the bottom of it as possible while staying above the side. However, if it does splash into the side of the tank, there is still a chance it might be enough to kill him with the 100 mils, but it'll be close. Really bad RNG on that accuracy roll, though. See, we're reloading, we're popping out. It went high again! Oh, man. The random number generator is robbing you of this kill. Every time. He's pre-aimed, so at this point, I would not poke out. He's pre-aimed in this direction. He's going to have the first shot advantage against you. I would maybe keep waiting until something else happens. So if we look at the minimap, this T95 is definitely going to be rolling up in this area. You have an OHO. This T30 is on the bottom, so he's going to probably come up here. You have these 3 tanks and this tank. So once this T30 finally gets damage on this 263 and this 263 goes away, all of these tanks have nothing stopping them from going this way. This OHO has nothing stopping them from going across once the standard B gets spotted somewhere else. And this T95 is just a fortress that'll keep rolling through. He might kill Artie, he might not. It's just you and the Leo against all of these tanks, and the best thing for you to do is to just survive as long as you can. Even if the Chrysler doesn't kill you, artillery still might. So you want to be really careful about what you're going to expose yourself to. So there's the 263. The 263 is done. So now there's nothing holding, and your Leo took out the Lorraine, which is really good. That's solid. This is great. You're doing exactly what I just suggested. You're just hiding, biding your time, waiting for your team to take the map control they have now. Because if you die, then their team gains more map control. By your presence being here, they have to make a choice between turning around and trying to defend themselves from the rear or looking towards you. Your Leo just crossed without being spotted by the Chrysler, so you might have a shot to get up here, and you have pretty good odds at not being penetrated by the VK, depending on if he's going to load gold or not. But if you face like the VK, you should be able to out DPM him. So I see you reversing to try and get shots. The VK is going, oh, maybe wait a second, I didn't make a good choice here. Looks like you're gonna look for the Chrysler. Yeah, he's still pre-aimed. That was just a little bit wide. You're actually aiming in the right spot, but again, RNG just sent it wide. And look at this. He's shooting HE at you. You guys have the same plan, and you should reload before him. So I would maybe pre-aim for that next shot to just try and get it in before he can fire. You killed each other. Oh, that's too funny. You did hit him in the right spot though. So probably what I would have done there is assumed that I could reload before him and just try and get my reticle as settled as possible. You still might not have been able to beat him to the click, but I think you had the reload speed if you had just stayed where you are and not tried to hide yourself. Because again, artillery you were exposed to the whole time anyways, but I definitely would have probably maybe just sat in that place there and just waited for the reload while my reticle settled down into a really accurate, as close as accurate shot as I could make there. But it looks like your team will still clean this up. So overall, I'd say we did pretty solid here. You might want to try and explore maybe using the ridge in front or the ridge behind as different locations that you might be able to find a little bit better at protecting yourself while still giving you the same sort of shots and angles on the enemies there. Yeah, team's definitely just going to clean this one up. So anyways, Sigmund Fraud, I still love that name. Thank you so much for sending in this replay. Hopefully we covered some stuff and filled you in on how HE shells work. It looks like you already knew though. You just got robbed so bad by RNG on this one. Anyways, guys, that's this episode of Coach's Corner, and we will definitely catch you in the next one.